how do you navigate a higher value woman? That's what it says. It says, with no roadmap, how do you navigate a higher value woman? Now, I had this conversation because we were talking about how do you deal with a woman that you feel like is out of your league, essentially, right? And we went through the definition of what a higher value woman is. And we've had this conversation before. I saw Dr. Cheyenne Bryant on Cam Newton's podcast, and I love what she said about value versus functionality, or low function, high value, that type of thing. I thought that was great conversation. I really, really do. Now, hold on. Travis, does the airplane mode actually work? That's what I need to understand. Let's get back into it, family. All I'm saying is, when you're dealing with a woman that has a lot of options, Oh, dear future, she coming to you tomorrow? I like her now. I like her. I like Dr. Cheyenne Bryant, y'all. I ain't gonna lie. I like her. I'm just saying, I like her. But yeah, so again, I think of it the same way with women, right? Just like with men, she put high value, low function, or functionality, whatever. I think women has a lot of, they can have a lot of options. That does not necessarily mean that they're the best thing for a relationship, right? And I think men, you guys are very good about understanding what is what. Like, you could say, okay, this is a good time. She's very attractive. Probably a lot of men desire her, but they're probably not desiring her in a long-term context. And I'll explain that. And then there's women that have a lot of options, and men do see that woman as someone that they could be with in a long-term context. They are looking at her and saying, okay, she's this, she's that, she's this. This is somebody I can consider. And there may be a lot of men that consider said woman in this way, right? But at this time, it doesn't really matter the low function or high function. That doesn't matter. We're just talking about value. So does this woman have a lot of options? Let's start there, right? Now, you can say, well, her options only want to sleep with her option. Both, no matter where we go, family, a man gonna want to, that's where it starts. He got to want to sleep with you. I don't know why we go into this whole other, he got to want to sleep with you, that he's a man, right? We be, oh, he just want to, every man want to sleep with you is about how he go about it. Ain't no man gonna be, marry some woman he don't want to sleep with. I've only seen that, and it was because the man, if I'm being honest, didn't have any other options. Men want to sleep with you. Now, if he's disrespectful and he says, no, drop down and give me 50, that's wrong. Okay, that's disrespectful. If he's respectful about it, if he's like, I think you fine, you fine now. That's different. I'm not mad at that. Okay, so anyway, that's besides the point. Let's get back to what I'm saying. When we're talking about high value or women that have a lot of options, whether the options are real, whether the options want to sleep with her only, or they want a relationship with her only, a woman just has to get in the door. Let's just be honest. A woman got to get in the door. Whatever happens from there happens. A lot of guys think, and there are some guys that can be like, okay, well, I'm not even going to let her in the door because I don't want a relationship, and I know she going to want that from me. I like that. I actually respect that. I also like that there's men that, they're just very honest where they are, right? They're like, okay, well, that one I can mess with now because I already know she's a good looking woman and she's not going to require much from me. So she works for where I'm at right now. Here's the thing. When the women that have the most options or more options, whether they're real or not, doesn't matter. If they can get into the door, they can get in there. All right. Some men, it's not that easy. Some men, it is that easy. But, men, you got to be careful anyway. Regardless, that's beside that. Let me get off my little sister hat, but that's just where I'm at with it. You got to be careful regardless, because nowadays women are doing spells on men, love spells, quite literally. Okay, they're using witchcraft to get y'all. So you do have to be careful about who you decide to lay down with, but that's besides the point. Let's get back into it. When you are dealing with a woman, whether it's high value, high functionality, whatever that may be, she has a lot of options. You first have to determine what her options are. And I'm not saying you ask her what her options are, because I don't ask a woman who else she's talking to. Please don't do that. Does not matter. Okay. When I'm talking to a guy, I don't care who he is. I do not care who he is. I don't care if he's got 189 million followers. I don't care. I don't care if he's got women asking to drink his bathwater as we currently speak. I'm not talking about that. What I'm talking about is whether I like you. Do I like you? Is there something about you that is attractive to me? Right? Because at the end of the day, that's what really is going to carry us anyway. Do we like each other? Do we have good conversation? Can we be on the phone for an hour or two? Can we go back and forth? Do we have banter? Do we have things in common? That's what matters. Right? Me worrying about what else is going on is already making me come in at a lower standpoint. And a woman's going to see you as being insecure off rip. So don't ask about what other guys she got going on. That is a no-no. All right? But if we are talking about someone who has a lot of options, you have to determine the level where she perceives the level of options she really has. Because if she's got legitimate, let's say it's a woman that men are seeing in a, I'm trying to say, how do I say? If there's a woman that you guys can think of that you're like, okay, you know what? She's a good looking woman, gorgeous woman. Let's say she's a 9 or a 10, just for argument's sake. She's a 9 or a 10 and she's got substance and she does this and she does that and she does this. And that makes her like top of the food chain. You already know most guys are going at her. She's got a chance with anybody on the social media market today. Just put her in a room. She could get top of the food chain. And you feel like you're not there. If you think about that, just think about that. If you feel like if she walks into a room, put her in any room, with her conversation, with the way she looks, with the way she is, she can get top of the food chain. You have to say to yourself, can I measure up to the top of the food chain? Now, you may be able to measure up with a woman who has options, but they're not real options. Does that make sense? So if you're coming in to a woman who has a lot of men that are just trying to sleep with her, they're not taking her seriously, you have more of a chance with that woman. Although if she's younger, she don't know the difference. I hope y'all followed me on that. A woman who is younger doesn't know the difference between men giving her attention because they think they want to sleep with her. It's a conquest. When she's a little bit older, I'm saying late 20s, she's going to settle. I hate to say that, but it's real. Because at that point, late 20s, she realizes these dudes don't want me for real. They just want me to do this, that, and the third. Now, the woman that has more viable options, like the same guys are coming at her, but they're not coming at her the same way. And you already know, based upon how she comes across, that guys are coming at her and they're probably taking her seriously. You might not want to be getting to that pool. Unless you are able to handle being up against that. Because women are hypergamous. Women are hypergamous. It's from the dawn of time. You have to be presenting her with something that another man has not. I'm just being honest with y'all. You're going to have to present her with something, just like if the reverse is true. If you see a guy, now I see guys that may be to women high value, but they're not high functioning, meaning maybe there's something that people know about them and they're not like really probably the best guys to be in relationships with, right? They probably not. those types of guys might be getting certain types of women. Right? But they're not gonna, they may not be able to get the creme de la creme. There's gonna be certain guys that get creme de la creme type of women because they have a good image, they present well, maybe they have a successful career, they may have more status, people know about them. Those guys are gonna get creme de la creme. When you have a faulty persona, like online, whether it's you have, repeated instances of just, I don't know, indiscretions, you seem problematic, maybe you've had issues with women that are like public, when we're talking about like domestic violence incidents or things like that, that can make you look to certain women like this is a no, I ain't gonna touch that. But then there's other women that might be okay with that, right? You're not gonna. But if that those indiscretions were in public, you get anybody. But there are gonna be some women that be like, no, I ain't even gonna run down that road because I already know. So you just have to understand that, family. All right. When we're talking about certain women, it just depends on who they are now and what options they have, and whether you feel like you security wise can measure up to those options. What I've seen is that a lot of men will try, but their insecurities come out. How do they come out, Sam? Because they end up bringing up the other options. Oh, well, what if these guys that you talk to, what about these other guys? Are you talking to other guys? Oh, you probably like this other guy. Those things come up because even though men are ambitious, they're going after the best that they can get. Once they get that person, there's a certain their insecurity starts showing up. It's almost like a young woman getting with a top of food chain type of guy, and you never dated a guy like that before. Now you're super insecure. You're always wondering what he's doing. You're bothering him. You're like insufferable because you can't get over your insecurities. That's where we have to understand, like, sometimes even if you look a certain way or you have everything that you would need to date in a certain league, and I'm just using that for intensive purposes, there's a certain security you have to have. That is like first and foremost to be able to go to different levels. If you're not really sold on you, you're not going to sell nobody on you. If you don't really feel like you that deal and you can measure up to anybody in the room, don't walk up in that room. The reason why some guys get the girls that they get is not even that they do what they do or they have what they have. It's because when they walk up in their room, they know, okay, you know what? There ain't nobody better than me. There might be guys that even now, like, listen, I ain't ready for Sam, but when I'm ready, I'm coming forward. Ain't nobody about to stop me. Who better than me? Who better than me? Who gonna treat her better than me? Nobody. Like, they have that mentality. They have that, like, that mentality. Is a confidence. Like, ain't nobody about to walk up in here and be a better quality mate than me. Like, if I want her, I'm gonna get her. Like, that's the type of confidence you gotta have, right? You got to be sold on you. Confidence is key. And what I find is that women will date down and men will date down because of their confidence. Women will date up and men will date up because of their confidence. It's about what you believe about you. I've met men, I think that they are super attractive. Super attractive. But they don't feel like they're in my league. And so what they do is they'll be like, oh, they'll do something and then they'll end up telling me, I feel like you're so smart. I feel like you're this. I feel like you're that. I don't know. It's like, dang, like, you don't sabotage yourself in this because I liked you. But because they didn't, yes, they could get in there, but they couldn't close the deal because they didn't have the confidence. They weren't sold on themselves. They weren't really good with where they were at in life. And I think that's a big thing with men. It's like where you are in life, how you feel about you, where like what you've accomplished thus far, it does show up in how you pursue. Hey guys, thank you for watching this video. I appreciate you guys. Go ahead, hit the subscribe button, y'all. Let's not just be every once in a while. Let's become family, okay? Friends that are family, okay? Join my family today.